Chapter 17. The Mountain Home and the Shepherd. The first thing we noticed was all the sheep and lambs. They were everywhere, mostly lambs. The sweetest, most gentle creatures I have ever seen roamed all around our cottage. The cottage was yellow, just like the colors Cameron painted our home on earth, yet the colors were still different, more alive, deeper, softer. It's hard to explain colors in that dimension. They are not earthly. They breathe, they sing, they reach. I saw 3 staffs leaning against the front door frame. The door opened, and out stepped Jesus. We both ran and fell on him, and all 3 of us fell down laughing and crying at the same time. Shadow came and threw herself into the heap. We got up and ran into the pastures, jumping, dancing, flying, flipping. Really flipping. We could jump up as high as we wanted to, but in our new yard we stayed closer to the ground. It was not the time for soaring off into the atmosphere. We were impressed to stay close for a new lesson. Our thoughts were all one in this place, and learning was always a big part of the journey. Jesus took his staff and handed us ours. "It's time to learn true shepherding," Jesus said matter-of-factly. I looked into his eyes. He smiled, and the whole mountaintop lit up. He was missing a tooth. I had a recollection at this point that I had seen him many times in past journeys with missing teeth, and then when I saw him again, the missing teeth were replaced. Reading my thoughts again, he explained, "These are my sheep teeth. When one of my little ones is lost, you see the space. When the little one returns, my tooth is replaced. I don't want any of my children to be lost, but there are many truths to learn about my little sheep. I need your help to keep my teeth." I picked up a lamb. I was so excited because I had always wanted to hold one of these adorable baby creatures. She was so sweet as she licked my face with her warm pink tongue. Her eyes were young and bright with artist brush lashes batting her brows. She cuddled up to me, happy to be in my arms. I noticed other little lambs now crowding around me, leaning against me, bleating softly and looking in my eyes. All of them wanted to look into my eyes. I felt like I had to pick them all up and love them and hold them so close and never let go. They were coming from everywhere now. I couldn't imagine how I could love them all. And I noticed some of them were not altogether well. "You will learn to love sparingly. You must not give it all away at once. Waiting is always important, even in loving sometimes." Jesus waved his hand over the little ones, and they scattered away happily. I noticed one little guy who looked very mischievous and lost at the same time. He gave me a sad but wry look and walked away slowly. My heart leapt to go after him. Suddenly I heard a loud bleat, a cry for help. I was torn between the little sad guy and the painful cry. Jesus looked in my eyes and then closed his. I followed his lead and closed mine. Cameron watched. Immediately I was in the spirit, and I could see both lambs. I saw the sad guy, and his name was Billery. I saw into his life how he had pushed other little ones aside who were smaller, younger, and slower to get a place beside Jesus. I saw how he had tricked others into getting hurt or trapped so he could rescue them and tell Jesus he was a hero. Jesus knew what he was doing but was waiting to teach him a lesson in love. In that moment, Billery had lured another little lamb named Merrily into a dangerous situation. He told her to follow him to some fresh grass, a dangerous spot where loose rocks sat precariously above her. He then tricked a mountain goat friend into going up the side of the mountain, telling him there was a great fallen tree up there that Jesus needed to make a new staff. As the goat pulled the old tree up, it caused the loose rocks to fall on Merrily and pinned her leg. Billery's plan was to rescue her as soon as Jesus came on his daily walk past that very spot. Billery had timed it just right. I saw all this in the spirit and told Cameron. We got to Merrily before Billery did and unpinned her broken leg. We set it and brought her to the barn to be cared for by her parents. We knew she would be fine. She was a favorite, always sitting quietly at Jesus' feet as he talked and sang. She never said much, but carried his love with so much grace that the other lambs were already starting to follow her. We went to find Billeri. He was sitting alone near the stream, kicking rocks into the water. I saw into his life and how often he had worked so hard to get Jesus' attention with his gifts and wit. His father was a shepherd leader and had tended to other weaker lambs more than his own son. Because Billeri was always strong, his father took for granted he would be okay. But a strong lamb needs as much love as a weak lamb, and Billeri was hurt and angry that he did not get the love he so desired. "I was going to save her," he bleated weakly without looking up. "Where is Jesus? He was supposed to be there." I saw the words to say, "We know what you did. You don't have to worry, Billeri. Jesus is always here for you. You don't have to try, and you don't have to be first. He loves you as he loves all others, weak and strong. You can be just like merrily and sit and simply enjoy his presence. He is your brother, your father, and your friend. Forgive your father and honor him and receive the free gift of Jesus' love. You don't have to work for it or prove yourself. Someday you will have lambs of your own, and they will need the love from you that your father could not give." Billeri bawled out a gut-wrenching cry. He fell over on his side and lay there as his tears puddled under his head. All his meanness fell off like scales in the puddle and floated on top like dross. Jesus appeared instantly and lay down right next to Billeri, face to face. He took a deep breath and blew across the top of the puddle. The scaly dross flew into the air, disappearing into nothing. Billeri whimpered as Jesus picked him up and held him close to his chest. The little lamb was totally different. His wool was whiter and softer, his lips and nose pinker, his eyes brighter. Cameron and I cried for joy for this little one. Billeri wept for forgiveness for all the harm he had caused his friends, for his anger at his father, and for all the lies and deceit he had wrought just for attention. Jesus stroked his face and let his forgiveness permeate Billeri until his peace flooded the little lamb entirely. We all looked up to see an older lamb walking over to us. Billeri ran to him. It was his father. He had come to ask Billeri's forgiveness. He had heard what happened and knew of Billeri's mischief in the past. He was so sorry for neglecting Billeri all these years and for taking him for granted. They hugged and cried in restoration. It was a glorious sight. But then the glory really showed up. Lyon, standing like a proud father in front of his little boy. Billeri had always been afraid of him. He stood trembling in front of Lyon and would not look up. Lyon reached out one enormous paw and with a huge smile on his gigantic face, playfully pushed him over. Billeri let out a scared whimper and nervously looked into Lyon's eyes. Lyon burst out laughing, and they started rolling together and playing, Lyon batting Billeri gently around in the soft grass. It was truly a wonder. We let the healing wind of Lyon's joy feather around us, his joy at the return of one of his lost lambs. We sat in the quiet for a long time. Jesus sat with us, enjoying the effect Lyon's love was having on his children. It was truly incredible to see the contentment on Jesus' face. He was enraptured by this incident and could feel in my spirit that he was deeply connected to his Father at that moment. He lives for the Father to touch his children. For this he died, to go after the one. As we lay in the grass with his tangible love all around us, I saw something lying on its side in the pasture several yards away. Curiously, I got up on my elbows to see better. It was a sheep, but it looked dead. I ran over to it, and Jesus said, "Leave her. She has been that way for 20 years. "You mean she's alive?" "Yes, I've given her everything. I have lain my life down for her. She has not chosen to let go of her pain. She is stuck in the familiarity of it. It is her identity. You will see her in a different spot tomorrow, looking the same as she does here." At this, Jesus got up, went over to her, and nudged her ribs with his foot. He said in the most loving, gentle voice, "Stamey, you can get up now. You know I love you." She moaned and lay still. Jesus walked away across the pasture. He turned and waved to us and nodded as if to say, "Keep watch and keep learning. All is well. See you soon." We heard a bell. I said a quick but urgent prayer for Stamey. "Lord, show us how we can help her in your strength, not our own."